While the last American combat units pull out of Iraq, 3,800 soldiers from Fort Carson will stay behind in a training role. The 3rd BCT 4th ID has been training Iraqi security forces since they deployed to southern Iraq in March. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Brinius.
And I'm David Nancaro, in today for Don Ward. This is a story hitting close to home. National news reports that the last U.S. Combat Brigade has left Iraq, but many are saying that information is misleading. 11 News reporter Lisa McDivitt is looking into this. She's live at Fort Carson. And Lisa, the Mountain Post is addressing some of those concerns this afternoon.
Yeah, Dave and Shannon, this announcement really doesn't make any difference to the original mission of the soldiers from Fort Carson. This news applies to combat teams whose combat missions have ended. Officials here say even though our Fort Carson soldiers are part of the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, their mission for this year-long deployment has always been focused on advising and assisting Iraqi soldiers.
We recognize, as always, the continued sacrifice by Fort Carson soldiers, the great work that they are doing over there, and continue to do.
Officials here do acknowledge that while the shift for soldiers is to a supporting role, it does not mean that they will be out of harm's way. Tonight at 5:30, we're going to hear from the wife of a Fort Carson soldier who got very excited this morning when the national news reported this drawdown, only to find out that her soldier would remain over there as planned. And we'll get reaction from her about how hard these multiple deployments have been on their family. Dave and Shannon.
All right, Lisa McDivitt live for us tonight at Fort Carson. Thanks very much.
2 other Fort Carson units are in Afghanistan, 3,800 in the 1st Brigade Combat Team and 500 in the 43rd Sustainment Brigade. Meanwhile, news reports of the drawdown of combat troops in Iraq have left many military members and their loved ones upset. They say the updates misled many families of deployed soldiers who thought that meant their relatives would soon be home.
I was actually pretty excited. I mean, anytime you hear news like that, you just automatically think that they're going to come home. And because my husband is in a combat unit, I was, ready to talk to him, ready to hear what he was going to have to say.
Military leaders are clarifying that many of those troops who are deployed in Iraq now will remain. They're considered more of a training presence, not a combat presence. That's roughly 3,800 from Fort Carson alone.
I'm focused on our mission and on our families, and we try to get out to our families as much information as possible. So I believe we've done a good job of that, and they realize that this is a 1-year-long deployment and what the mission is, and our mission, again, has not changed.
The U.S. combat troop drawdown caps 7 years of ongoing mission in Iraq.
Take a look. It is a great night for these soldiers who marched into Fort Lewis, Washington today. About 150 of the Army's 4th Stryker Brigade marched in, representing the end of combat operations in Iraq. Now, recent reports proclaiming the withdrawal of combat troops in Iraq are not sitting well with some local military members and their loved ones, who tell us their reality dashes what sounds like good news.
Say hi, Daddy. Hi, Dada.
Kira Defaria's father will see her first day of kindergarten like this, by clicking on a video link from his current post in southern Iraq. Staff Sergeant Wagner Defaria is a combat soldier, thousands of which are heading home to see similar events in person.
It's not all combat units.
Michelle Defaria, who works for KKTV, is Wagner's wife and thought recent reports of the troop drawdown might end her husband's 4th deployment early.
Yeah, he's on a plane. Oh my God, he's coming home.
Now she's dismayed and disgruntled that those reports could mislead the American public, and she's not alone. The assignment for thousands of soldiers is not over.
I'm focused on our mission and on our families, and we try to get out to our families as much information as possible. So I believe we've done a good job of that, and they realize that this is a 1-year-long deployment and what the mission is, and our mission, again, has not changed.
Although there are combat troops within the Mountain Post 3rd BCT, their designated role is to train and support Iraqi forces.
We recognize, as always, the continued sacrifice by Fort Carson soldiers, the great work that they are doing over there, and continue to do.
For Wagner Defaria, that means 6 to 7 more months in a rebuilding yet still dangerous Iraq.
They're all in harm's way, all of them. So, to say that non-combat, are staying out there, they're still in harm's way. They're still in danger.
And for Michelle, another anniversary and holiday season apart from her hero, who is among a team that will pass word about their return when they're ordered to.
Find out what the truth is. If you have a soldier, you know, find out from him first before you get your hopes up.
As of now, hundreds of families reunions here in southern Colorado still months away. The 3,800 soldiers Michelle's husband are serving with are expected home early next year.